We had a lot of those guys at that Redlands home that were meeting when those packages were being delivered. We don't know who those men are, apparently, or where they are.
Exactly. Welcome to the future, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I just think we're going to get more of this, and I regret to say it, but I think that given the success, if you will, the quote bloody success of ISIS in getting those folks into the country, or having those folks here, and the enormous publicity and attention they got from their horrible atrocity, far more publicity worldwide than they get from any of their beheadings over there in ISIS territory or in the Islamic State, that they're going to push for more of these things too.
And I think, as I said, the establishment, when talking about the Democrats, the liberals, and the Homeland Security Department, who won't even examine social media postings, Pat, because the Office of Privacy apparently was working with the ACLU, and they were ordered not to look into social media, which meant that Tafshin Malik was allowed to come into the country despite having posted all of this radical Islamic stuff on the internet for years. And now, you think of someone like a Trump or a Cruz. It's no wonder that when you add their numbers up, the outsiders are at 67% in this field.
Establishment has been discredited. It is the elites of the country who are responsible, who have gotten us into all these wars, who have failed to secure America's borders, who are immediately react viscerally and politically correctly when anyone has a suggestion that maybe the situation is more serious than we imagined, and maybe we've got to take some steps like a temporary halt in Muslim immigration until we fix up a system to let that woman through. I mean, simple common sense is causing just hysterical reactions from an establishment. And I think the reason is the establishment realizes that when you see all those votes of Carson and Trump and Cruz and the rest, they are votes against them. They are votes against the establishment and what it produced.
And the establishment seems, as you pointed out in your piece, they seem not incapable of learning. Globalism is so important to them. Open borders, these trade deals, the global interventionism is so. It's just such an orthodox position that they will not compromise with their own voters.
Well, exactly. Now, look, when I ran back in '92, I said, look, if you pass these trade deals where Americans got, $25 an hour manufacturing jobs, and the Chinese have $2 and the Mexicans have $4, your factories are going to go over there. You're going to deindustrialize America. We're going to lose all our plants and jobs. I mean, we were just predicting it, and people said, okay, that's foolish, Buchanan. Global free trade's outstanding. But now, 25 years later, the returns are in. You lost 6 million jobs, manufacturing jobs in the first decade of the 20th century, 55,000 factories. Now you say this is what happened, and yet they continue. Now look at what McConnell is doing. We can't have a vote, he says, on TPP until after the election. You know what that means? The party doesn't want it. The people don't want it. So what we'll do is we're going to tell them we're really going to look at that, and we'll wait till after the election, and then we'll tell our donor base, okay, we can do it now.
They're going to do it in the lame duck session unless the people rise up and say, "Oh no, you don't."
Yeah, you got to make people, put them on the line, say, "Are you going to vote for the TPP?" And say, we're going to look at this thing. I'm skeptical. It is. They've done it so many times.
Pat, when you see Trump, his comments about we're not going to let Muslims in, and all the caterwauling that followed that from Republicans and Democrats, Paul Ryan gets up, God bless Paul, he gets up and he reads his statement. He reads a statement saying, "This is not who we are. This is not the America that I know." And I responded by saying, well, is it the America we know to spend over $2 trillion in the Middle East only to destabilize it? Is it America we know to tell the people, well, you're horrible, racist, and xenophobic if you want the border shut down? Or is that America, Paul?
Well, what Paul Ryan is doing, with all due respect, he's reading out of the liberal catechism. He's reading out of the proper way to respond. The Republicans should respond when they're very good Republicans. He's appealing to the national media, which loves him. But the point is, when situations are changing and it's difficult, all they go back to is the same old catechism they've been preaching so long.
No, the catechism of
American liberalism. It really is. That's what it is. It's their basic ideology and philosophy. They cannot entertain the idea that their beliefs in open borders and endless immigration into this country may have become problematic in our current situation. And as our situation is new, Lincoln said, we must think and act anew. And they are incapable of doing that, in my judgment.
There is a concern among those of us who are, well, I'm anti-establishment. I mean, I'm a Reagan conservative, and I am disgusted with what's happened to the average person. Just disgusted with what this government has done. And yeah, I'm really angry about it. I think it's unfair. I think it is so shameful that our parties look down their noses at the working people of this country and replace them systematically with foreign workers, or tell them that their traditions of whether it's marriage or the way they raise their children are outdated and biased. I'm sickened by that. And then I think, wait a second, you got a couple of guys out there running who are, in their own way, they're very compelling figures. They're different people, obviously Cruz and Trump. Steve Hayes was on Special Report last night talking about whether Cruz will finally go after Trump. Let's listen.
We haven't seen somebody really frontally challenge Donald Trump in the way that I think is open for Ted Cruz to do. When Donald Trump attacks Ted Cruz, which he's virtually certain to do, how does Ted Cruz respond? Does he try to stay above the fray? Does he try to be above it all, sort of laugh off Donald Trump? Or does he engage? And I think there are risks either way. If he doesn't engage, it looks odd because Ted Cruz is attacking Marco Rubio.
Well, what would you advise either candidate to do at this point?
What I would advise, Cruz's strategy has worked exceedingly well. He has stayed out of a fight with Trump. He stayed out of a fight with Carson. It always seemed to me that when Carson broke, if you will, and fell, that his votes, because they were so heavily evangelical, would go to Cruz. And while what Cruz said in that meeting with his fundraisers may have been a mistake to have said it, but it is exactly the truth. If I were him, I would not go after Donald Trump like that, if there's been recommended. I'm sure the neocons would love to see the two of them kill each other. But if I were Cruz, I would not go after Trump. I mean, look, if Trump starts down, there's no doubt who will be the primary beneficiary. But you do not want to be the guy that's got his fingerprints on the weapon.
I think the problem for the country is the establishment.
Sure.
So why with both of them? I mean, I said this to Santorum and Newt, and neither of them listened. But it's almost like for the time being, form a coalition. For the time being, non-aggression pact.
Well, my view would be that, look, Cruz should not go after Trump right now. I mean, because the media will come in and say what a great guy Cruz is, etc. He goes after Trump. They're going back at each other. The media is cheering on the battle. They're damaging each other. And so I think it's a mistake because I think they have a lot of overlap in their constituencies, frankly. And, I don't know how this is going to come out, but if Trump wins a majority of the votes and the delegates, and he shows up at the convention short, my guess is what he would do is offer Cruz the vice presidency.
Well, and I know
Cruz is in the catbird seat. Why would he change a strategy that's working for him to follow the counsel of the Weekly Standard?
Look, apparently, Bill Kristol, God bless him, has now decided it's kill Trump at all costs. So, and I was like, is Lamar Alexander going to pick it up for us? Wasn't he pushing that a few years back? I mean,
but I did see Kristol on Morning Joe this morning. He did say he got the 41%. He says, I just think I'll stay in denial.
Well, aren't we going through the five stages of
rare touch of humor?
Yeah, aren't we going through the 5 stages of grief, Pat? Now, right? Where it's
they better line up a lot of grief counselors in Cleveland, I'll tell you.
So it's like that. You first deny it, right? You're just in denial, and then you're kind of sad once you realize Trump's not going away. Now we're in like Christmas time. Trump's still there.
And the Depression era comes.
And they're totally depressed. Then it's
acceptance.
Yeah. Then at the end, it's a complete acceptance. But I don't even see them doing it. I don't see them ever accepting it. Back to your column, Pat. What are the chances that the GOP does not survive if a Trump or a Cruz is the nominee?
Well, I think the GOP will survive. But I went through. I wasn't with Goldwater at the Cow Palace. I was an editorial writer, but I was pro Goldwater all the way. And Goldwater. I'm looking at a Gallup poll. Just matter of fact, it's right here in front of me. Goldwater was down by something like 55 points in June. To LBJ, but Trump and those guys are not in the Republican Party is not in that shape. And listen, the Republican Party, if it wants to win, even if Trump wins this thing, the folly of the establishment, Rockefeller, Romney, and Scranton, they were out there yelling at Goldwater, cutting him dead, and pandering to the media and calling for denouncing the Birchers along with the Communist Party. And they damaged Goldwater undeniably, but they destroyed themselves. None of them ever went anywhere. Rocky was, vice president under Ford at Select D, and he ended up, fighting at the convention over the Princess telephone and making obscene gestures to the Idaho delegation. So that's what happened to those guys, but it's so stupid. What you do is, truth be told, as I wrote today, the wise one was Nixon. I think he was out there in Cleveland mucking around, trying to stop Goldwater, but when he was caught out, turned around, introduced Goldwater to the convention, campaigned hard for him, and won.
I remember your book, Pat. In your book, you documented that look, Nixon was an establishment guy, but he learned. In the end, he learned.
He had a infinite capacity for maneuver.
Pat Buchanan. Pat, well, this could be the Donald who sold Christmas for the entire GOP establishment.
Christmas for the boys,
right? Exactly. Little coal in the stocking at Crawford or Kenny Bunkport, or wherever they are. Trump's like the Grinch going down taking all the ornaments. He's taking the globalist ornaments off the tree. And it's like, Santa Claus, why are you shoving the tree up the chimney? Well, to save America, little girl, to save America. Pat Buchanan, Merry Christmas to you and all of the Buchanans. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
All right. We love the column. You're listening to The Laura Ingraham Show.